Welcome to the Sankofa Ancestor Shrine, where every week we invite spiritual Black folk to reconnect with our ancestors as we journey through the crossroads. Please consider donating through patreon.com/Sankofa Shrine. We dedicate this session to all the spirits who came before us and to the spirits who will come after us. Ancestors, we are so grateful for the encouraging energy that you place in our lives, even as sometimes we can get discouraged, scared, worried about the future. We know that you have our back and that you are guiding us and supporting us. Please, as these weeks go forward into months, help us to have a sense of faith in our future and have a sense of wellness and belonging and understanding of the divine timing and the greater plan at large. Ashe. Hello, welcome to the Sankofa Ancestor Shrine. I'm your host, Sacred Woman Practitioner Tatami, and for today's sacred session, I thought we would indulge in one of my favorite books. This is the guidebook for the Dust to Onyx Tarot, and it is a melanated tarot deck made by a Black woman, and I highly recommend it. It's a little expensive, but there is a travel edition. But if you get that, I'm pretty sure you don't get this. So I would suggest saving up and getting the whole big package because I think it's worth it. So today I thought we would just use a little bibliomancy and see what this book felt like talking to us about today. And by bibliomancy, I mean I'm going to just hold the book in my lap and go through the pages with both hands until I intuitively feel the urge to stop and see what is written on this page. Each page has a full color description of the art from the card, as well as like the description that she wrote, and it's always very thorough, very interesting. I highly recommend this. Okay, this is an experience, but I tend to use the book a little more than the cards, even though the cards are very beautiful, shiny, the gold flecks when you turn it. It's an experience. I highly recommend this deck. But yes, that's what I mean by this. I know for bibliomancy, some people will go to a certain number of pages and pick one word from each page. There are many different ways to do it that, you can intuitively figure out what works for you. And, but this is the method that I tend to use, mostly because I tend to use poetry anthologies by the ancestors and something like this that would have a spiritual message on each page. So yes, I'm telling you because I'm not going to move the camera to watch this. So I'm going to show you this beautiful illustration here. This is the Ace of Gourds. We'll read first. During the formation of the universe, one of the first substances to form was water. It is the foundation of nearly every single living organism in our system. The same can also be said for emotions and spirit. It is from this place that we operate, making our decisions and judgments, finding our purpose, and even experience love. At the head of this card sits a gourd for receiving, and as Source fills us, we find an overflow that alters our state of being. I like where this one's going. The Ace of Gourds represents a well of pure energy. It marks the emergence of a new sense of well-being. We are enamored with love, bursting with creativity. We are proverbially baptized, and for a moment find the stains that taint our spirit gently being cleansed and washed away, purifying the soul. It is a time when we can fully express our diverse range of emotional understanding and sink into it wholly and fully. Spiritual and psychic channels are open so that we may better receive the conscious downloads that guide us. It is a highly fertile state from which new life can be formed. If you are receiving this message, it is time to connect with your deepest soul need and purpose. This is a great time for new relationships, insights, spiritual growth, and creative expression. Allow yourself to be vulnerable. Expose the wounds that have refused to heal. Embrace and honor each and every feeling, even though you may not understand them. This may prompt you to change course and find a new pathway or relationship. It's important to be sure you have the clarity you need in order to know what forces truly guide you. All right, so I feel like this is almost a continuation from last week's message. I'm not sure if any of you took the time to write a mission statement. I ended up writing a personal one, and then only yesterday got the idea that I should have written one for the Sankofa Ancestor Shrine. So I'll be doing that this week. But I did end up writing a personal one for myself. And then a whole bunch of wonderful things started happening. I started getting, connecting with a friend who I had once told an idea that I had for this group. And then she was able to try and present this idea along with me for investors. So I ended up actually having a super busy week that had to do with a lot of these wonderful things opening up. And so it's interesting that I'm seeing this message, should I say. So I hope that you're feeling inspired too about the opening of yourself to the possibilities, opening yourself up to the infinite, ability of things to happen beyond your imagination of what they could have been even a couple days ago, and allowing the source to fill you, right? To allow yourself to be cleansed away of those old feelings of inadequacy, of not being sure, and instead be filled with a renewed sense of where you're going and what you're meant to be doing. So I think that I forgot to also read the words at the top for this awakened is what we're going to read today. She writes, new love, joy, creativity, psychic ability, and purity. So I think that this could be a sign that you could use a spiritual bath. Maybe you need to just, you're saying, I'm not even feeling any of that. I'm feeling, grief. I'm feeling sadness. I'm not feeling any of that. Maybe it's a sign you need to physically do something about this. One of the pieces of advice that I always absolutely love of queens is that if you feel like nothing's moving, you move. So sometimes it means you're making a move. Sometimes it means you're doing something spiritual, such as taking a bath, rising early and writing out your thoughts, praying with the ancestors, doing some form of divination. And sometimes it just means, getting your blood moving, getting your energy, the air around you moving, dancing, doing something just for this moment, you moving. And so, yes, this when she's talking about the proverbially baptized, I think maybe that could also mean you could be giving yourself some sort of baptism into this new way of thinking, into this faith in the future, and connecting with your deepest soul and purpose, having insight into the new ideas, the new relationships, seeing what you learn from them and enjoying them for what they are in the moment, right? Practicing our mindfulness, even with our relationships, even with the daily moments in our lives. And even if it doesn't seem as though many things are changing or getting very exciting, right? I feel like that all the time as someone who stays at home with the kids. I'm always like, oh, here I am, washing dishes again, here it is. This is my life. But there is always so much going on, and there is always so much more that I could be seeing into it or understanding of things if I'm only open to them. Let me see, what was my final thought? Oh, I love the allowing yourself to be vulnerable, exposing the wounds that have refused to heal, embracing and honoring each and every feeling, the good, the bad, the cravings, the guilt, the regrets, right? We're trained. We talked about this in a few sessions back. We were talking about that poem where he was talking about how we've been trained that all these negative feelings, we're never supposed to have them. If we have them, something's wrong. You just bury it away, and that's not the very indigenous tribal way of approaching these things. These do exist. These griefs do exist. They do feel heavy on our heart, and feeling them is part of this experience, and part of the understanding and the healing from them, right? Healing properly from them. So really exposing those wounds, and being raw. I'm here. This is me, right? This is me. I accept it. But really, feeling those feelings and not trying to only bury them away. Even when you may not understand them, embracing and honoring them, because they are feelings that you have, even if you don't want them, they're not that convenient to you right now. Because, as she says, this may prompt you to change course and find new pathways and relationships. And that doesn't mean you were always on the wrong path, because things lead into other things, right? You weren't exactly wasting your time just because you didn't quite reach a certain timeline or do things, you've switched course in some way. It's actually a good thing. It's a sign of your growth and your understanding of the evolution of your process. So that is the message that I got here from the Ace of Gourds. I'm going to show you this beautiful picture once again. Courtney Alexander is the name. I believe, yes, Courtney Alexander is the name of the author of these, the artist, the author. She brings it all in, y'all. She brings in the culture. She brings in ancestors. You need to get this deck if you love it. I hear my kids crying, so I'm going to leave off of this part of the video. May your ancestors and spirit guides be with you at every crossroads, and I will see you next Monday.